Sugar Bar Game Show. Thanks, Vanessa. So welcome to the Sugar Bar Game Show. We are your hosts. I'm Minami. I'm the Sugar alumni from 2019, and I'm currently in Melbourne, Australia.
Yes, and I'm Marcus. I'm also a Sugar alumni from 2019. I'm Brazilian, and I've recently moved to Turin. That's why I have this background to remind me of Brazil.
So we'd love to welcome our amazing guests today. What I'm going to get them to do is introduce themselves. So if you could please tell us your name, your title, which country you are dialing in from, and thinking about our topic of failures, the name of your autobiography. So let's start with Lara first.
Thank you, Manami. So my name is Laura Ferreira. I'm Portuguese, but right now I'm living in Switzerland. I'm a principal UX designer at Roche. Even though my title says designer, I'm mostly a researcher in the area of UX. And if I had, I was actually undecided because I had 3 titles for my autobiography, but I was inspired by Vanessa in the conversation we had earlier, and I thought to rename it to The Donkey Goes First.
Fabulous. Lara, Savannah, would you like to go next?
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Savannah Peters. I'm Brazilian. I was born and raised in Brazil, in Recife, Northeast, but I currently live in Porto, Portugal, beautiful Porto. I work at Porto Business School, as you can see on my background here. I have a sunny Porto, the sunny part of Portugal. Lara will not agree with me, but that's how I see it. It's a very sunny and nice place. I work as an international developer, business development, Sugar alumni 2017-18. It was a great experience. Autobiography title, I would say it's Fail and Tell Everyone. Everybody I know, like pretty much people know when I fail because I like to talk about anything that happens to me, especially when something goes wrong. Maybe it's my way of getting some comfort out of it.
Beautiful. And Paula?
Well, hi guys, I'm Brazilian too. I live in São Paulo and I am service designer. Actually, now I'm design lead at a early stage startup called Oya Care. So we work for female health. And well, I have to say an autobiography title, right? So I don't know, I think something related to connections. I think the most important thing you can take anywhere you go are the connections you make. So work for them.
Okay, great. So our topic is failure and what we can learn from failing. Design thinking embraces the idea of fail fast in order to learn and adapt quickly. So today, we want to explore this idea with our guests and hope to learn, perhaps, how to fail better in a fast-changing world of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity.
So it is a game show. So to warm up, let's start with 2 quick questions. Say the first thing that comes to your mind. We're going to start now in reverse order. So Paula, what is your favorite food to eat after you've failed at something?
Cheese, definitely. Something with cheese.
Fabulous. And Laura?
I would say it would be a francesinha. It's a typical Porto dish.
Yes. And Savannah?
For me, I would say it's brigadeiro and bananas. I'm into the sweet side of food. And so every time I'm sad, I failed, something happened, let's eat some brigadeiro. If you haven't tried it, you should. It's very good.
Okay, so now let's go in reverse order again. So Savannah, if you could phone a friend, who would you call?
There's a friend of mine, her name is Priscilla. She took the MBA with me. Every time I do something wrong, something doesn't go according to plan, I always call her because she's always very supportive. She's always, she's very light and bright. So she brings the right energy after failing.
Yes. And Laura, who would you call and why?
So I have a friend, Barbara. So she was born in the same hometown as I am. And she would be the perfect friend to call after a failure because she's a psychologist.
That helps, Laura, a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Wow, that would be amazing. What about you, Paula?
Oh, I usually call two friends, Gabby and Elisa. They are both designers, but for today I'll go with Elisa. She works with similar challenges that I have, so I usually call her, and she helps me think. So it's kind of a process, and we do it together. So she calls me, I call her, and that's it.
Fabulous, great. So now this is an interactive talk. So you as the audience get to vote. Please open your chat box so you can play along with us. Each panelist will be given 3 minutes to answer each question, and you get to decide the best answer. Here is the sound to signal time is over. So over to you, Marcus.
Okay, so let's go then. The first question is, what was one of the worst interview questions you've ever had? Thinking back to the start of your career, what was that one failure that you look back and say, oh my God, but it also taught you something, maybe. So Laura, do you want to start?
Sure. I'm not sure if I should share this in a session that is being recorded because it's a really embarrassing one. But so this was a failure that happened during one of my first design thinking projects. And it was actually from when I was a student. And so we were trying to do like a really amazing bike for commuting in the cities. And, you know, I had zero clue about engineering as well as my colleagues. And, you know, we realized, you know what would be awesome? It would be having a bike that self-generates energy. You know, if anyone in this call is an engineer would know how stupid that idea sounds because you cannot generate energy from zero. You always have to have some sort of fuel or, you know, your muscles, anything, right? But, you know, we were so optimistic and we thought this is a great idea. We should do a prototype. We should build something that, you know, helps cyclists cycle without effort, without having to, you know, charge a bike or anything to the electricity. And we even went to the point of challenging engineers that worked in startups that were focused on researching on that topic. And we always thought we could do it. We always thought we're going to be doing great and doing that. So we came up with some really funny prototypes to test our ideas. And we ended up burning my phone battery. So if I could show you pictures, I would have shown you because there's this moment is recorded when the, you know, when the phone died. And what this taught me was to stand in the shoulders of giants. So if you think you have the greatest idea ever, just do some research because most likely someone had that idea before and they've done it better than you could have. So always do your research. Be optimistic, of course, do prototypes, test your prototypes, but also if someone has done that before, copy them, do better than them, start from there. So
That's
yeah,
amazing.
that's my
Thanks so much.
big embarrassing failure.
That's a great story. So Paula, if you want to go next.
Yeah, sure. I love your story, Laura. So yeah, I think it's an easy one, but it's in the very beginning of my career. So before I started to work with design thinking and service design, I worked for a while with graphic design and experience design. And this was one of the first interviews I've ever done in my whole life. So my uncle, at the time, he had a friend, and he had like this big design company, and they did like huge projects for companies like Nike and other big ones, and they were very known in my city. So I'm from Curitiba. Now I live in São Paulo, but I'm from Curitiba, and they were very known there. So my uncle got me an interview, and I went there. So I was looking for a job as graphic designer, and I printed my portfolio. So I brought there some of the works that I had from university. So everything was very basic, and it was my first year. I don't think I had like 6 months on the university, and I was kind of confident. So I brought there that badly printed, black and white notebook, and then I showed him, and then he looked at that and he said, okay, I'm gonna show you something. And then he took me to a room, showed me a lot of amazing jobs they had done. Like he was saying, did you see what you brought here? And can you see what we are doing here? So I felt so humiliated. And at the end of the interview, he said, you have to study, you have to improve your repertoire, and you have to look at other things. And I felt so bad at that moment, but after that I kind of realized that I needed to look for out of my bubble. I needed to look for reference. I needed to look for other kind of jobs, talk to people who were working on the market, and open my mind a lot. So 3 years after this, they invited me to work there, and I worked there for like almost a year, and I just left because I went to New York to study. And well, I think my biggest learning at this was that it's fine you fail, but you have to take this and to take somewhere else. So I used this to make me more inspired to improve my design. And when I came back, when I went for the next interview with them, they hired me. So I did what I wanted and what I needed, and it was very important for my career.
What an amazing story, Paula. Thank you so much. Turning an absolute failure into success. That's like just wonderful. So Savannah, would you like to go next,
Yes.
answering this question?
Of course. I'll just building on what Laura and Paula just mentioned. Sometimes it is the most stupid mistakes when you stop and think about it. Like, maybe I should have prepared myself. Maybe I should have researched. It's one of those things. Okay, so it wasn't like an actual interview that I was doing, but it was my first job after college. I was away from Brazil for 8 years. So I was just coming back. I left when I was 17, and I was 25 at this time. First job, multinational company, all excited. And we came up with this idea of doing summer internship for some of the engineers and business people we used to hire. So we wanted to catch them before they went to the market. And I decided, so they stayed with us the whole month of January. And then for the February, for the end, we were celebrating. They were with the company for 1 month in different parts of Brazil. I said, let's have a party so we give them the certificate. They'll be very excited. But then my intelligent mind decided to do it on a Saturday of Carnival. It was Carnival Saturday. They said, well, it's a holiday anyway, so nobody's gonna care about that, right? I was 8 years away. I know Carnival is a big deal for Brazilians, but I thought it was just a Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Then they can go partying. And then we did this. I spent money. We bought, I invited guest speakers and everything. And out of the 25 people, only maybe 3 or 4 showed up. And I was so embarrassed because I had my boss there, and it was just like this big thing. It was the first time we were doing summer internship. So it was a big failure. And then it helped me to understand that there's some of the cultural traits of a country you cannot play with Carnival in Brazil. That's it. Unless somebody's mom dies, you don't do anything. And I heard it. Even my father told me, this is not going to work. Of course it will. they're gonna come for party, they're gonna have their certificate, they'll be excited. Well, it didn't work out, and I had to apologize and start over. I sent the certificates by mail. So it was my first biggest professional, and I was still I was a trainee, so I wanted to get a good position after that 1 year. Didn't start out fine, but yeah, but you're right, Vanessa. But then I learned from it, and then and now I know to respect it. Like when I moved to Portugal, I was like, what is it, those things that you cannot do anything on São João's evening in Porto? Laura knows what I'm talking about. São João is São João. Unless something's really like is the end of the world, you don't do anything on that night, right? So biggest failure at the beginning of my career.
Yes, Carnival is really sacred in Brazil.
Oh, just a Saturday morning, I thought.
Well, so let's start the polling then. Please vote for the most HR whisper answer. So let's count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then the winner is... Oh, Paula's answer. Congratulations.
Thank you, I think.
Well, it's not over yet. This is a game show. There's a few more questions that we have. So we're going to go straight to the next question. Oh, woohoo, well done.
wow.
Fabulous. So we're going to start the next question, which is, tell us about the time where you had the most spectacular, epic, professional failure, where you tried something, but it failed so bad. So let's start with you, Laura.
Well, when I was trying to prepare for this answer, I was thinking about what kind of things can I share with you guys that are not confidential. So a lot of the work and the projects that I work on are enclosed by very secret NDA agreements. So the story I'm going to tell you has no names, no mention to the
Right.
project, no nothing around this, but I'll try to make my best. And it's actually in the sequence of the story that Savannah just shared with us. And it comes from a project that I've done in a big company. So I was there as a project lead, and I was leading a team of grown-up people. So they are professionals with many, many years of experience in the area. So most of them had over 10 years of experience, were managers, senior managers. And we were working on a design thinking project together. It involved many moving parts within the company, and it was a very interesting challenge for all of us. And I had together with me a colleague, so I didn't work on my own. And, design thinking projects are difficult. They're not easy. And it requires a lot of hours of attention, dedicated focus, a lot of Post-its flying around, a messy room or a messy Miro board. And, many times it happens that you're just tired, right? So we were doing this project and we had very tight deadlines. And, after a few days, I started noticing that the team was, not advancing in the project, and we were just lagging and, not doing anything new, and decisions weren't being taken. But I just kept pushing. I said, hey guys, I would bring them, gummy bears, sugar, chocolates, whatever. Let's keep this going. We are cool. We can try. We can do this. So, always pushing them to do stuff. Until this group of grown people, very experienced, just did what good old kindergarten classes do, and they just pouted. So they just really pouted at me like, no, I'm not working. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, you're a grown-up person. Are you seriously doing this? And they were just like, no, I'm tired. I don't want to. I'm not going. And wow. So for me, I was a bit inexperienced as well at the time. And I was very upset about this, because for me, this is not how adult people should behave in a professional setting. So I just kept pushing more and more and more, no, let's do it. And of course, nothing happened until my colleague that was working with me at the time, he came to me and he said, Lara, what's a good idea? If we just go outside and we play some ball. And that's what we did. So I listened to him and oh, damn it. Second failure. But I listened to him and I said, yeah, sure, let's play some ball, let's relax, let's forget about the project for the time being. And then I sent everybody home. We came back the day after and everything was pretty okay and we managed to proceed. So I forgot rule number 1 of design thinking and of human-centered projects, which is people are humans.
Yeah.
And they will be humans all the time and you just need to take care of their needs.
What a great story. What a great lesson. Thank you so much for sharing, Laura, and I understand. Savannah, would you like to go next?
Yes, and I think it goes perfectly well with Laura shared and her last words. People are humans, they have needs. So I'm going to share with you guys the failure I had during my M310 project, at PDF, at Porto Design Factory. It was, for me, like one of the most embarrassing moments of my life, because we had to try things. We were working with to come up with a fully circular knit garment for the Inditex world, for the companies, the brands. And we had to come up with something. At some point, we had no more ideas because we had tried like different, like Laura mentioned, like build on top. So we got people were already trying different types of needs for the garments. We couldn't do anything. And then at some point we had Hui on our back. You have to do this. I don't know if it was funky prototype, but it was one of the moments when you had to show something. And we had the great idea of asking our colleagues to switch clothes. They walked in at PDF. You wanted to see if people were attached to what they wear and how much they were willing to try something else. So we made people go into the toilet, the bathroom, and change clothes. Okay, at some point, it seemed like a good idea at 8 o'clock in the morning. The problem is people are humans and they sweat and they become smelly at some point. And you imagine that people come in the morning, they put deodorant, but then you put somebody else's clothes on. By lunch, the whole room smelled really bad. We were all like, oh my gosh, what have we done? It was awful. And we had and then by the end of the day, when people had to give back the t-shirt that they get from the other person, it smelled bad. It was awful. I felt bad. And then next day I was like, wow, that's a way of failing. We were trying, it was a prototype. So we would not, because we wanted to see if people were willing to change clothes. Like what if I had a clothing library where people would walk in and change, but then it had to be washed clothes before they could be swapped. That's one thing we learned. And again, you have to put humans on the center. It seemed like a good idea. It didn't smell like one after the prototype.
Oh, what a fabulous story, and so much learnings. I'm really enjoying hearing everyone's stories, and they're also diverse, but all come from such a good place. And last but not least, Paula, would you like to share your story?
Yeah, sure. This was a very hard one to choose, but well, so I was working with human-centric design for a while, but this was I was doing a project for an international client, and as Laura, I can't share which one, but I was doing this project for this big client, and the client came to Brazil to follow up a focus group we were working with in here, and I was working with a friend. And she was the project lead at this project, and it was the first focus group I was gonna do ever in my whole experience, because before that I usually worked with qualitative interviews and other kinds of research. So I just came back from my vacation, so I was not prepared, and I haven't read the script for the focus group, because I was expecting that she was going to be the one who was going to moderate it, and then after a while I could come in and we could trade. But the client she was very demanding, and at the beginning of the talking, she said, "Paula, I want you to moderate it." And then we looked at each other, and then I said, "Okay," but I really wasn't prepared. I was not ready to do that. I haven't read the script. I haven't done this before, so it was my first time. I should have told her, "No, I can't, because I'm not ready," but I didn't. So I said, "Okay, I'm gonna do it," and it was terrible. So we couldn't. I was lucky because it was a pilot, so we did this focus group first and corrected everything in the script and some of the expectations. So it was not that bad, but it just because of luck. And after this, we worked for some months at this project, and she stopped trusting me, because as I couldn't do that, all the other interviews, she was kind of not trusting me. So she was like asking my friend to moderate it. She was not listening to everything that I thought, because she thought I was not ready. And I think the worst was when we were, after analysis, we were working in a workshop, and I gave her an idea. So I told her what I thought we could work on, and she totally ignored me. So she was like, "Oh, okay." And then my friend repeated exactly what I said. And then she said, "Oh, I love this idea." And then she said, "Yeah, Paula just said that." And then she was like, I think that was the moment when she realized she was picking with me. She was being picky because of what I did at the first. So if you're not prepared for something, just say it. Don't try to do something you are not ready to do, because it's gonna be worse. So that's the story.
Oh my God, I'm really, really enjoying listening to the stories. I'm sure Vanessa and Marcus and everyone else in our audience. And so now we're going to run the poll. The poll is going to start now. So please vote for the most spectacular, epic professional failure. Counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the winner is... Oh, Paula, well done.
See, Laura, me and you are failing at this. You get this?
I'm great at failing.
Only winners, no failures.
Maybe I'm failing the most because I'm winning with the worst result.
Well, so let's go to the third question. In design thinking, we learn about the concept of fail fast. What does this mean to you? Or what does it not mean to you, and how have you used it in your work? And how do you use it to influence the work of your team? So if you want, Laura, you can start.
So I have a quick answer for this one, actually. It's fail with an audience. So whatever it is that you are doing and you are testing, try it out with customers, try it out with users. And instead of waiting for weeks to put your prototype in front of them, put it right away. Like, just take it right now and test it. Test it with an audience, fail with an audience. So this is my definition of fail fast, because if you fail privately, it's not really failing.
Okay, that's great, Laura. Savannah, can you go next?
Yeah, I'll mention something special when you talk about team and failing. I think that it is good to show that you also fail. That's one thing about, and then when you're designing, when you showing it to your customers, when you trying it out, I think with my team, what really works is when I show them that I also fail, and that it's okay. I just don't want to say it. I was just in a meeting a few minutes ago before I joined here, and the girl that works with me, she's very, very responsible, but she forgot to send the link for the Zoom. So everybody was panicking. So when I arrived, the other lady from our team, she was so upset and I said, it was my fault. I forgot to send the link. And then the girl private sent me a message, thank you very much, because you covered. So it's okay, we all do mistakes, we all fail. And if you fail fast, and again, if you have an audience, that makes it even more brave and more, if you fail for yourself only, maybe it's not even a failure, you don't learn from it. As Mr. Yoda said at the beginning, the greatest teacher of always failing. So fail fast, don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of talking about it. To show that you also do it. Recognize that it's okay by being sometimes the fail yourself.
Well, that's great advice, Savannah. What about you, Paula?
Also, I totally agree with you both. And I was thinking about teamwork. Maybe one thing that can help you to deal with the failure process is to share it. So sometimes when you talk to your teammates and say what you think is gonna be a problem, or if you're not gonna be able to do something, ask for help. So it's not just fail, because of course you're gonna fail, but sometimes you don't have to do it alone. So bring other people to work with you and share this with people, because sometimes it makes easier to fail if you have someone supporting you during this process. And of course, if you show people you fail too, it's going to be easier for them to accept that. But you can sometimes bring them with you and talk about it and ask for advice, or maybe build something together and then fail together, and maybe it's going to be more fun.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you so much.
Well, so let's start the poll, and please vote for the most fail fast cultural agent answer. So counting down starts now, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So who's the winner? Oh, now it's Laura.
Look at you.
Well done.
Congratulations, Laura.
Thank you. How do you do this? Like, how do you do this picture thing? It's quite cool.
That's Vanessa, our star
The
behind the scenes.
magician, Vanessa.
Yes.
Fabulous. So now that ends the polls. We're going to go into rapid fire round. So we're going to bring to the screen our famous wheel of failure. And everyone gets about a minute to share a story. So it's going to be really quick, fast answers if you can. But if you have a bit of a longer story, that's fine as well. So, let's go. Let's start with Savannah. And the wheel is spinning.
Embarrassing fail. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
First day of work, I stepped on dog shit on my way to the office. As I was trying to clean my shoe, I fell right in front of everybody. The security guy was trying to help me. Everyone is looking at me, so I have smelly. It's true. And by the time I kept walking into the office, everybody could see there was and I was there because I kept bringing dog shit everywhere. Most embarrassing fail of my life. Everybody
I see a
knows
theme
me.
here, Savannah, with the smell.
Everybody knows me. Everyone knew that there was somebody new at the office because, well, you know. Anyway, most embarrassing.
Marcus, do you want to pick?
Yes,
And we'll
let's
start the
pick
wheel.
another one. Okay, so now for Laura. So which one are we going to choose? So Laura, if you could describe which was your funniest fail?
Well, it's totally not related to work, but it's one of my funniest fails ever. So I was going to the movies with a friend of mine, and I think we were watching, like, it was the premiere of a movie, so the theater was quite packed. And she got up in the middle of the film because whatever reason, she wanted to go to the toilet or something, and she asked me to go with her. So I said, sure, yes, I'm going with you. And then she goes, and she's going down the stairs, and then she falls. But she falls like a normal person, like just stumbling down and just like this. And of course, I love watching YouTube videos of people falling. So I was crying, I was laughing, like I love that because I love watching people falling. And then the funny thing happens, I start walking in her direction, after her, and I just fall right after, but spectacular, like with my face, to the stairs like this, like. So I learned not to make fun of anyone when they fall, basically. Totally non-professional related, but it's funny.
That's very funny.
Yes, of course.
And Paula, the last one. Vanessa, will you spin the wheel of failure, please? Okay, can you tell us about your most recent failure?
Yeah, sure. So it's job-related fail, but we are redesigning our website, and we decided to do a product recommendation quiz to recommend our products related to what people need. And so I designed the whole process, and I tested it. And during the tests, I found out that we needed to completely change our homepage because we had a lot of things that are happening and being said that are not related to what we want to say. So we found out some things we need to change. And then I hired a freelance UX and UI designer to work on it. And I brought all my interview insights, and I kind of did a prototype showing her what I thought that was important to tell people. So I was much more concerned about how to communicate the things I needed, and I didn't think about the usability or about the aesthetics. And I was trying to be very clear to tell her that I was not looking at that. I was just concerned about the story I wanted to tell in our homepage. But apparently I wasn't clear enough. So I asked her, and she did something pretty, but not useful, because she wasn't looking for usability because she thought I was working on that. So I lost a bunch of money, and I had to redo it. So yeah, communicate people what you expect from them very clearly, because otherwise they will do something and you're not gonna be happy with that, and neither they will. So yeah, that's it.
Fabulous. So now it's your turn, audience. So please raise your hand and we can bring you up on stage if you'd like to ask a question of any one of our amazing panelists today. And also our panelists, if you have a question for your colleagues, your fellow co-panelists, please feel free. And if you're a bit shy, please put your question in the chat and we're happy to ask it for you. So Q&A time. Does any of the panelists, Lara, Paula, Savannah, do you want to start off? Do you have any questions from anything that you've heard while we're waiting for audience questions?
Can go. I can ask a question. I would like Vanessa to tell us what was her most embarrassing failure of her career. Why not? I haven't heard from Marcos, Manami, and Vanessa. Let's have you guys also talk to us.
So you're putting me on the spotlight. Let me think about it, Savannah. I like that one. That was a surprise. Wow, what was my most embarrassing? Could I mention today that I was so not prepared to answer the questions that we just prepared for the panelists? I guess that one could count.
Yes, that counts, I guess. That was my question. I don't know if Manami or Marcos would like also to share something like this.
Well, I will start then. It happened almost very similar to your story, Savannah. It was a call for a scholarship. It was my first year of college, so I had enrolled in the scholarship, and I was supposed to be interviewed by someone. And for some reason, the email that I had to receive to, to get in touch and, actually, how can I say, to forgot the word. I forgot the word. Sorry. To get in touch with the person that I was going to have a call. He didn't know, so he called me on a Saturday during Carnival, and he told me, "Well, I don't know, you are here, so if you want, we can do it now, or you will lose the scholarship." And I was, well, kind of tipsy, and I had to make a call in English. So it was not funny, and it was really bad. I didn't get the scholarship after all. But well, Saturday morning carnivals, they are really sacred. So I respect that.
But the person wasn't Brazilian, right? So he didn't know it meant something. It's not a normal Saturday for you.
Yes, for him was a work Saturday, and for me was totally not a work Saturday.
I have lots of failure stories, but I'm going to pick the sugar one because probably a lot of people in sugar found out about this. But my first trip, actually, sorry, it was my second trip to China, and I didn't realize I packed my phone battery charger in my suitcase. So they confiscated my suitcase, and I got to China for the kickoff, and I didn't have anything. I had one set of clothes. I had to go. Luckily, Ethan and my team spoke Mandarin, so he took me shopping so I could buy stuff. And I literally had some scarves that I rotated around so people couldn't tell that I was wearing the same clothes every second day until I got my suitcase back. So a very embarrassing failure at a global kickoff. And on that note, I would like to start off the questions. Now that you've had all these experiences of failures and things like that, what advice, I guess, would you give someone who is starting out, or say starting out, like, we've got a next batch of sugar batches starting? What advice would you give to them? So would love to hear from each of you, maybe like with a little piece of advice for people starting out on their first, big project.
Do you want me to start?
Please.
Okay. Before the meeting, I looked up the word failure in the dictionary, and it gave me two explanations. It said it lack of success and also unexpected outcomes. I do like the second description. I think that failing is encountering unexpected outcomes, and my advice is don't be afraid of it. I failed bad when I tried to get into university when I was 17. I chose a very hard university, and I only applied for one, and I failed. And my life took a completely different turn. I went to the US, I had the chance to study there. So sometimes it is unexpected results, outcomes that bring you to your success. So embrace it, don't be afraid. It's okay, we are here to try, we don't know everything. And sometimes when we are younger, we are proud of what we've done right. But sometimes it's exactly what we've done wrong that it gave us what we have today. So this is how I would put it. Don't be afraid, especially when at sugar, the experience. It's the time to give it a try and to embrace failure.
It's hard to follow up on that answer. It's a very good answer, and I love that definition. Unexpected outcomes. And following on that note, I think embrace whatever comes your way is the best way to face what a sugar project is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. it's not easy. You're gonna fight with your colleagues. You're not gonna agree. You're gonna find difficulties in finding users to test your things with, how to build your prototypes. It's always gonna be a hard time. And the cool thing about it is that your starting point is always going to be different than your finishing point. Yeah. Whether in the project, so whatever briefing your sponsor gives you, it's not going to be most likely the briefing you're going to be answering to, and yourself. So you grow. Whatever you started as you, I don't know, John, it's going to be different, John, by the end of the sugar program.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Paula, would you like to add something?
Yeah, sure. I think what I'm going to say is related to something Laura said before, but I think you have to find your audience or the people who are supposed to use what you're creating and ask them, test things with them. So hear people who are the users of your service, product, or whatever you're creating, and listen to them, because they are gonna know their needs, their pain points, and everything that could solve a problem much better than you if you are not your audience. So I think this, and also during this process, ask for help, and don't be ashamed of asking for help. So if you think you need to talk to someone, if you think you're gonna fail, it's fine. Everybody fails, and everybody needs to talk with someone to think a little bit differently. So know when it's the time to step back and say, okay, I'm lost, I need help, I need to talk about this with someone because I don't know what to do, because it happens to everyone. So you have to do it, and it's going to be much better to fail this way because you tried.
Exactly. Yeah, that's wonderful. I don't know, does anyone in our audience who's coming, does anyone want to ask any questions? Vanessa, do you have any questions, or Marcus?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking of the conversation that we had before the session. Actually, of course, there is a backstage, so we can mention the backstage. And
yes.
Something that I would like to ask each one of you, the panelists, especially, of course, if Mark and Manami want to answer, super nice as well. But I was wondering if today, I don't know, maybe when you start the day or at specific moments of, I don't know, the month, there is a specific learning that you have very present in your mind. You know, like, I don't know, for instance, for me, it's very important to keep in mind that I need to learn to say no. And sometimes check overview, what is the workload that I have, and then say, Vanessa, remember, you need to say no, otherwise. Does it happen something similar to any of you?
Yeah, so I think for me, something that is very important is that you shouldn't expect things, but don't say what you want. And this happens in many parts of my life. So if you're expecting something, you have to set expectations and to say what you want, what you need, because if you wait for people to guess what you want or what you need, you're not gonna get it. So I think this is something that you have to ask people things, be direct and validate if you understood what they said during the process, because sometimes you presume something based on your experiences, but you are not getting it. So I think both things are very present in my life.
Yeah, there's something that I have to constantly remind myself of, which is don't rush. Especially if you work in corporate settings, there's always an urgency to things. You know, people are gonna say, you need to deliver this project in 3 weeks, and I'm like, what? You want me to find a whole new market in 3 weeks? And as to what Paula was saying, just say that that's not going to work, and just say what you need to make it work. So if they really want that to happen in 3 weeks, then just say what are the conditions that you need around you, the environment that you need to set up for making that work in the way that they want to. You know, it's a famous triangle of effort, cost, and perfection, or whatever they call it. So don't rush. And if your gut tells you that you need to slow down to make things well, it's okay. And even though we advocate fail fast, learn fast, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do things the way they should be done.
Yeah.
Laura, I think it's applying the theory, right? We know it's okay to fail, but then we get, oh my gosh, and what if it takes too long? I think that for me, and it's, I know there's Brené Brown, she's talking about that all the time, but it's okay to be disliked. Some people are not gonna like your job, what you do, who you are, how you work, how you dress, just because it is, people see things through their lens. So that also matters. I think you have to be very true to who you are, because that's something that, especially when you are talking about corporate business, when people, they have expectations, or especially me, I'm a very informal person. Maybe one day will be the president of a nation, but I will keep the same I'm very low standard attitude. I talk to everybody. I'm very informal. I like to be authentic myself. And sometimes that doesn't fit into people's perspective, but then it's okay. Maybe I'm in the wrong place and maybe I should, but that's something like, I think what Paula said, like ask specific questions so you know what's expected. Don't rush, take your time. And that's very hard for me. I'm very electric and always doing things and speak very fast. It's very hard, but it's also the power of being disliked. Maybe I'll do my best job. I'll do everything with like, and people be like, oh, that's awful. But it's okay. It's a process. But I think that's my advice, especially when you talk about failing. I'm not saying you should not give your 100%. You should, but make sure it fits your perspective and your values, because that matters a lot in the end.
That was amazing. So many learnings. Really great. I've just enjoyed just hearing everyone's stories and learning so much. I think Max and Vanessa will, like when we were planning this, like it was just so good to hear people being real and human and not the amazing superstars that you are, you know, that we portray ourselves to be always. So really, really loved it. Loved hearing all the stories and globally as well. Like, you know, this one thing that binds us all together, especially, I guess, in the last few months and last year and stuff is this notion of failure. You know, I think we've all experienced it, and this just shows it. So over to you, Marcus, to take us to the close.
Yes, of course. So I want to thank everyone for being part of our first Sugar Game Bar show. Yes, we would like to thank our wonderful guests, Laura, Savannah, and Paula. Thank you very much for being here. And well, now we will share a feedback form and well, a link as well for those that are willing to linger and network a bit on wonder.me. And thanks for coming, everyone.
Thank you for the invite.
So much.
Thank you for having us. Great to talk. Thank you, Paula and Laura, for sharing too. Very nice to meet and see you guys again.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. It was very nice to be here and it was very great to meet all of you. Thanks.
And although the audience was quite quiet, they are also saying thank you very much on the chat. So I just want to say it out loud.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Sam, thank you very much.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't really participate because I'm sick in the bed, but listening to you is great as well. So thank you very much.
Get well soon.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Get well soon, and then see you in the next Sugar Bar Talks. I will close the call now. Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.